Hello everybody, welcome to Ties vs Dyes. Today I will be showing you how to do a sunset tie-dye t-shirt. And so if you take note, right here we are drawing the center line through the beginning of, or through the front of the t-shirt. So we start by laying the shirt down flat and then mapping out the center line and then mapping out the sun as I've done here. And the reason for using the washable markers so much in this video is due to the fact that we want to have a good reference point for when we are done binding up the shirt and when we actually start the dye application. And so that's why we are going so heavy with the washable markers right here. And that's the beauty of using the washable markers, is that they truly do wash off when you try to, or when you do apply your dye. And so notice here I am drawing out just a good rough draft and a good reference of what I want the shirt to look like when it's complete. And so I have clear separation between the sky, the sun, and the water, because that's what we want it to be. We want it to be a sunset on the water. And so that is the design that we're mapping out here. And also take note that we're doing two distinct colors. You don't have to necessarily put whatever color dye that you're using for the washable markers. So I'm using a black marker here, so that way I can see where the separation between the blue sky and then the little bit darker blue water is going to be. And that is the reason for that. So also keep that in mind, that you don't have to use the corresponding color of washable marker. Anyway, so here we go. We're starting in on the binding of the sunset. And for that, you just do a regular fan fold, which is in equal increments, just folding up the shirt. And then you want to go ahead and put rubber bands or sinew or whatever you're using to bind the shirt. You put that over the straight line that you've created by doing the fan fold. And the reason for this is we want a clear separation from the sunset and the rest of the shirt. Another thing to keep in mind is that center line that you mapped out at the beginning of the shirt, you want to have that be very bold, because that is going to be where the dye separates. So you want to have a clear reference point on that. That way you can easily go through with your dye application and not get confused and not get a different a different color than you want to have when you're applying your dye. And so keep that in mind. And so notice here, when I am binding the shirt, I am typically pressing down on the shirt, and you want to do that. That way the shirt does not fold up onto itself. You want it to stay consistent, and you want it to stay with whatever pressure that you're applying. That way it will stay that form. So right here you can see that it is ready for the dye application, and that is because of that pressure that I'm applying throughout it. And that really allows you to keep the shape and keep the design that you're doing. And so right here we're going with a sunshine orange. The first color that we applied there was lemon yellow. And so this is going to be important because we apply this in a way that completely fills in the sun, but then we also want some of those sun rays in the sky and on the water. And so that's why you put it above and below also, not just on the sun itself. That way you could get some of those rays on the water and in the sky, and it comes out looking very nice when you do this. And so right here we're applying teal blue, and this is going to be the sky portion of the sunset. And so we're going to go pretty heavy with this color. That way it remains at the end of the dye application, and that way it remains through the rest of the darker colors that we're going to be applying later. And so be generous with the colors. Go over it as many times as needed, to where you can see me going over it, I believe about 4 or 5 times here. And that is just to get good saturation and good dye absorption. That way your finished product ends up retaining those colors and being very bold and very bright. And here we're going with the emerald green, and I believe we also use royal blue for the bottom, and that is so that way we can see the water versus the sky. And where the two colors separate right there is where that center line that we drew out at the beginning is. And so right on that line, that's where you know that's where the separation is. It's also at the bottom of the sun that you fan folded, so keep that in mind, and whatever colors you do choose to use, that's where you want them to separate. And so really get good saturation on there, that way you can have a clear separation at the end of the shirt. This is magenta right here that we're going in with, and again, just get good saturation and really go heavy on the dye application. You'll notice it absorbing the color to where I'm putting a lot of dye down and it's not dripping through to the bottom, and that's because of the spongy consistency from the way that we folded and binded the shirt. And here we go with royal blue. We're coming back with royal blue. We wanted the bottom water to be darker than the sky, and that is because of the sunset image that we're trying to portray, and that is a good way to try to get that down onto your canvas or onto your shirt. So keep that in mind. And again, just go over it, and it's good to kind of mix up the colors. So once you have the base of the colors down, then you could go ahead like I'm doing here and starting to add some more of the darker colors to the top sky portion, and that's going to give it a really good finish. So just take note on that you don't have to just keep whatever colors. It's good to kind of mix them all throughout, but of course that's secondary, so you want to go with whatever colors you want to be the main color section. You want that to be filled in as much as possible, and then come in with the secondary application of dye, and that will just give more of an accent color to your main colors that you have. And so that's what I'm doing here with the royal blue. I'm just adding a little bit of it to the top sky color because it will just make it blend and make the whole shirt kind of match itself and kind of be more of a more broad finish. And so that's what we're trying to go with here. And again, I'm just going over each color again and again, so that way we get really good saturation to where you always want to go ahead and go a little bit extra. That way it comes out looking nice. And so here's the finished result right here. And the name of this shirt is Sunset Dream State. And I think that it came out looking pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. And so let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you try this out. It's a very easy shirt to do. It's a very easy fold to accomplish. And let me know if you need any help. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And we will see you again soon. So thank you for your time. Tie-dye the world, and we will see you soon. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.